The next principle Nace describes, he calls biospherical egalitarianism. And the idea here is that everything has every living thing has an equal right to live and to blossom, as Nace puts it. So he also interestingly qualifies this, that is, he notes a particular limitation in its application, because he says that we can't no organism can get along without constraining or limiting or ending the life of some other organisms. So it's sort of like he's accepting that it's going to happen in the process of life, that some organisms will be sacrificed or used, consumed, eaten. Think about cats. Cats are carnivores, so there's really no way for them to survive without eating meat of some kind. You can think about, you can think about herbivores even need to eat plants. So it seems like life feeds on life in some kind of basic natural principle. And Ness doesn't want to disagree with that, but he thinks that deep ecologists, or he's arguing that deep ecologists should, as much as possible, as an ideal, think of every living thing as having an equal right to live and exist. The next principle that Ness discusses is basically a promotion of or a favoring of diversity and of symbiosis. So this is expressed in a number of different ways, and it might be that there are several commitments expressed here. But one idea that's important is that diversity promotes survival and complexity. So the extent to which one favors diversity is the extent to which one is favoring life itself in a certain way, because life benefits from diversity, as is put here. But diversity promotes survival. I presume that's because that provides more niches in which organisms of different kinds or with different capacities would be able to survive. There's a recommendation as well that we favor symbiosis. And I think what he means by this is well expressed by his description of it as a live and let live mentality rather than an either you or me mentality. So it's possible for us to look at situations where there are limited resources as ones where either one organism or the other has to take all of the resources, or ought to try to take all of the resources because they're limited and they're there's only so much to go around. And if one organism doesn't try as hard as it can to be the winner, and along with that try as hard as it can to make other organisms the loser so that they don't have access to those resources, then the survival of the first organism will be in question. But there is this phenomenon of symbiosis, that is, of organisms basically finding a way into patterns of behavior and interaction with each other that are mutually beneficial, where both are benefiting from those interactions. And so I think this principle is suggesting that we, in our behavior, look for ways to be more symbiotic with our natural environments, with non-human organisms. And part of the benefit of that is that in turn will promote diversity and survival of all living things, ourselves and other living things. So this counsel to think about nature and look for places in our relation with nature where we can be symbiotic rather than be competitive is the basic idea. And of course, symbiosis promotes diversity because the extent to which organisms of different kinds find a way to all mutually benefit, or to benefit at the same time rather than a either you or me, live and let live scenario, then that means that more different types of organisms can flourish. And that means that there will be a more diverse ecosystem, a more diverse natural world overall. The next recommendation is very interesting because it seems like, in a way, Ness is shifting gears from talking just about humans' relation with non-human nature to talking about humans' relations with other humans. And here he articulates what he calls an anti-class posture. So for the same reasons that one should aim for biospherical egalitarianism, that is recognizing the equal right of all types of living organisms to exist, and favor diversity and symbiosis over something like monotony, absence of diversity, and over some kind of competition rather than symbiosis. In the same way, one should favor the mutual existence of all and flourishing of all humans and all groups of humans. And this means that cases where one group of humans are exploiting or suppressing another violate these core principles of deep ecology. So deep ecology is, in this particular commitment, is expressing a proposed link between the values that motivate biospherical egalitarianism and the valuation of diversity and symbiosis, and an anti-class posture. Now, another way that Nace puts this, interestingly, is he recognizes that different classes, a distinction between classes, does count as a type of diversity, but he wants to be clear that that's not a kind of diversity that he thinks is good, because it involves a reduction of the potential and a reduction of the ability to flourish of some groups by others, whereas it would be much better if we found a way for all groups to flourish and not be constrained, limited, oppressed, exploited in that way that happens when you have exploitation or suppression of one class by another, or one group by another. So, I mean, what is a class distinction other than, in a very broad sense, what is a class distinction other than a difference in power and capability and freedom between two groups that's maintained in part by some actions of one group vis-a-vis the other? I'm not sure if that's a perfect definition of class, but it's the kind of thing that Nace is thinking about here with this principle, and he's trying to explain why he thinks other deep ecologists are against it.